Okay, it is 10 o'clock. Trying to see who all we have here with us. I'm going to give it like maybe one more minute and then we'll get started.
Okay, but someone, I need, there we go. What was that? You pushed most through this or not? This was the third time you've been in one of these?
There's Mr. Nick. Hey, Nick.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, sir?
Great, great. Ryan was supposed to join too, but he's not in today, so he's not going to join from TAC.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm glad you can make it. All right, it is 10:01. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody. I think we got about 34 people on the call right now, and I want to welcome everybody. This is actually our first our first information sharing get together for our Works4Me partners, and so really happy that everybody could make it today. We have with us today Lott Industries, who they're going to be sharing their wonderful information. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to have Patty. I'll introduce Patty here in a minute, but I'm going to have Patty kind of go over some housekeeping things with us real quick, and then we'll get started. So Patty, you want to let them know what we're doing there?
So, hi, my name is Patty Schramm. I run the SALT Talks. I've been running it since 2015. I'm a mom and a parent of an individual with disabilities. We started all this track back in the around 2010, which is hard to believe how long ago that was. But yeah, so I'm here today to join with you guys. And Mark, I'm going to go ahead and get this screen up, okay?
That sounds good. That sounds good. Yep, and I should have said, my name is Mark Miller. I am the provider liaison for Works4Me. So I will be kind of helping out with some of these trainings now and in the future, and Patty as well will be doing that. I'll do another little intro of Patty there, but just want to make sure everybody knows that we are recording this and that we will have a chat box going. We anticipate there should be some questions. So put your questions in the chat box, or you can raise your hand, whatever you'd like to do. We'll make sure we try to get to everybody's questions as we go through the presentation with Lott. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our presenters today. Next screen.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
There we go.
And so with us today, we have Mr. Tim Menke. He is the CEO of Lott Industries. We have Dawn Williams. She is the Director of Services for Lott Industries. And with us as case leads, job developer, job coach. And that is basically the job description of the other people that we have with us today, which I think is awesome. Laurie Fountain, James Rose, Karen Leigel, and Robin Leroy Stanley. So they will be join us in the presentation as well. So next slide, I will just again mention we'd like to welcome Patty to the team. Yay, love having you as our family mentor, and she's also our engagement trainer. So Patty's role is to help us kind of roll out some of these trainings for our providers, but also for our families. So we're going to be having training that you're going to be seeing. So you'll see Patty's name come up as we're rolling out different trainings for our families, for our provider partners. So be looking for that very soon. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and leave it open for Tim and Dawn to get started on our next slide. And thank you again, Lott, for helping us out today. We really appreciate that.
They might need to unmute. Let's see, are they unmute? Yeah, they're unmuted.
Can you guys, are you guys,
Yeah.
We're
Hey,
not
Mark, I hope you guys can hear us okay. It seems like we have an unstable.
you are breaking up just a little bit, Tim.
You hear?
Tim, we're still not hearing you guys yet. Hey, Tim, it looks like you guys are muted.
They were unmuted for, let me find them here.
Hey guys, we can see you. We can see you on the camera, but it's showing that your mic is muted.
Is that Tim? Is that Tim Mikey?
There you go.
There you go. Okay.
Well, it was just there for a second.
Oh,
Mark, we're having.
We can hear you now, Tim.
Okay, we're having an unstable internet connection. Hopefully it stays with us here. We're trying to join up. Can you hear us okay?
We can hear you. You're breaking up a little, but we can hear you.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start. Sorry for the internet connection here. I didn't anticipate this. And if you can't hear, just wave or something or stop me.
You're good.
But I'll give you a quick history of the Works4Me program. Back to 2020, the year of COVID, it was kind of a transformation year for Lott overall. It was kind of a blessing, really. It was awful as
Tim, I think we lost you again.
services we wanted to. Let's try this again.
Tim, we're unfortunately we're not hearing you.
You try connecting again. Yours didn't connect.
It did just come up, but it wasn't.
You're back on.
someone's on. Yeah.
Okay, I'm connected now. Can you hear us, Mark?
Oh yeah, much better.
Yes.
Okay, I'm connected now. Can you hear us, Mark?
Yes, we can.
Still breaking up. Okay.
Okay, can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Very good.
All right, sorry, you won't be able to see us, but we're switching to a cell phone now since our internet connection is bad on the big screen.
That's okay. We can hear you really good.
Okay, good. So I'll start over because I don't know what you caught so far, but I was talking about in 2020 when COVID hit, it was kind of a big transformation year for us, and it was a blessing because as awful as COVID was, we were able to really move our services forward. We took about a couple dozen of our clients who were on the waiver VH system and made them regular lot production associates, because we do have a pretty good production facility here. Associates, because we do have a pretty good production facility here. You have to turn that off, Lori. Okay. You guys still hear me? Okay.
We're getting some feedback, I think.
You good now?
Yes.
Okay. And so we became an integrated work floor. And then at the same time, we also knew, we put some thought into what the future of VH services would look like. We did have a crew of people that were providing OOD services to, people outside of Lott in the overall community. And it just kind of hit us one day that, we should really focus on our own family of people here, help our own individuals who want to make that next step towards community employment, and, focus all of our energy here on our own family. So we decided to do that. And then really like in, 2021 and into 2022 is when we developed the training program that, eventually we combined with the Works4Me that OOD created. And, we actually were doing it for about 2 years before OOD started, just 18 months or so ago. And so we got a good jump start on it. And we chose to really invest a lot of our time and resources into this because, one of our thoughts here is to do the right thing. And even though it may cost some extra money, but so then when Works4Me came along, it was like a perfect match, a perfect blend. It's a great partnership because now we're getting reimbursed for some of the services that we're doing. We choose to do it on a bigger scale, where we're helping 12 people at a time in like a 3-class rotation. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And I'll let the team talk. So it's good to get reimbursed for some of what we do, but it still is an expensive journey, especially when we choose to do it the way we do it in a larger group-like setting. So I hope that gives you a good history of how we got into it, and now we'll kind of talk further from here.
Can you still hear us?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to talk about the making the Works4Me services successful. When we started this, like Tim had said, we had already had this in the works. We were already doing it pretty much here at Lott on our own because of COVID. So it was a little slow going and getting an interest there for the individuals because, you want to say you're going to talk about community work. You're going to, they hear the word community and a lot of them are very hesitant. No, I don't want to go to the community. I don't want to work in the community. So as we continue to do the classes, that changed significantly because now they see their friends going through the classes and they want to go through the classes and they hear how much, the individuals like the classes. So that helped us just between the individuals themselves growing the interest by just keep doing the classes. And then they wanted to do what their friends were doing. We also have a help from Jim, employment navigator from the Lucas County Board. He has been helpful in getting the meetings scheduled and them set up with Brian, who is our OOD counselor, to get the OOD or the Works4Me classes authorized so we can begin providing the Works4Me classes with the individuals and billing. So an employment navigator from Lucas County Board, he's been helpful as well. When we first started, we did 6 individuals to each class. We had 3 separate classes. We now have 4 individuals to each class, which is, it's better. It's more one-on-one, it's more individual based. We see that being more, it's more successful, more personalized at the 1-to-4 ratio. We are continually improving as we go with each class, each session. After we're done, we sit down and we talk about what worked or what might make things better. So we continually change things as we go. Like I said, it's just, we created it for COVID to get our individuals busy, and it turned into something very successful. So with that, you know, you learn as you go, you keep making the changes that fits you, and that's what we've done. We do it as 3 classes, and we have 3 case leaders who run the classes. That might look different for you as a provider. That works for us. So we do the 1-to-4, 1 case leader teaches the class for 7 sessions, and then they rotate to the next case leader. Then they go through for 7 sessions, and then they rotate to the 3rd case leader, which is the final class. That is done Tuesdays and Thursdays for an hour each day. And again, that's what works for us. However, it works best for you. You know, you can accommodate or review that internally. So I'm just looking at the slide, making sure I didn't miss anything. Mark, is there anything that I didn't go over that you want me to discuss? Can you hear us?
Mark, you're muted.
You're,
Please.
Sorry about that. Yes, I mean, I think you've covered it well. I'm just thinking about maybe some of the communications you might have with families or individuals, kind of to address any, you know, apprehensions or anything they may have about moving forward.
With the individuals that we serve, a lot of them are very hesitant when we say, you know, we're going to go over to community discussion about getting you ready for a job in the community. So we've had to approach it with different ways with some of the individuals. They're not ready for community, but we know they could get there. So, you know, let's just go through the classes, let's sit down, we'll talk about, you know, the steps and the skills you'll need for a community job. And then when we finish with the classes, and you can make the decision. So it's really making sure that the individual knows it's their choice. And by them going through this these Works For Me classes does not mean that when the classes are done, they're going to be placed in the community, because that's how some of them took it. And that's not the case at all. It's just, you know, giving them knowledge so that they can be better informed on when and if they're ready for community employment. And as far as families, we don't really, prior to them going into the Works For Me classes, we throw it out there as a discussion in like their meetings, if it's a possibility that they could be enrolled in one of the sessions for the year. So we just kind of go over it briefly, but then we discuss it further with the families and the teams as they take the next steps towards community employment. So career exploration, job development, things like that. We'll have more of a discussion with them on that at that point.
That's perfect. Thank you. Go next slide.
Is it skills
No,
development?
it's thoughts about job design.
did I go one too many? Oops.
Yeah, we
There we
can. Yeah, we can go
I'm sorry,
right
we
in.
y'all can't just see what slide you're on because we're on the phone.
We're on the
So we're
phone.
trying
Oh,
to make sure we're.
Maybe go to the next one, skill development, and we can start.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be Lori. So she's gonna go over her classes and what she teaches.
Hi, I'm Lori. I'm a case leader here at Lott. I do job development and job coaching also, along with teaching the course of self-advocacy, job readiness, and financial literacy. Our first class on the first day, we go over classroom rules, letting everybody take turns talking and staying on topic. We introduce ourselves to each other because no matter how long someone's been here, we've got new people that's come in and they don't know everybody by name, so they know of them, but they don't know them by name. We start out on self-advocacy and learning all about self-advocacy and knowing yourself. That's our first day. Our second class finishes with the rest of self-advocacy, rights, and the ADA. We also go over wants versus needs and getting a job with Job Search 101 all through the Step Up program. Our third class is showing a resume. I show them a resume that I've done for other individuals. I just change the names and the phone number so that way they don't know who I'm talking about or their resume. We look at applications and I give homework sheets out from the Step Up program. We'd go over on our fourth class is interview skills. I showed them the video from Skills to Pay the Bills, which is the enthusiasm and attitude video. And they like that one. Our fifth class is proper workplace talk and behavior. The sixth class is respectful and appropriate communication in the workplace. This is where I have a peer come in that used to do the 14C and now he now works out in the community. He holds down 2 different jobs. So he comes in, he and I will do different skits. Like Step Up has paperwork, and I sent it to you, Mark. I probably sent it to you a little late. It was right before the meeting.
No, that's okay. We can put it up if you'd like to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
So
Okay.
what I did is I changed the names to whoever the individuals are in the classroom. Today I changed the names to myself, Tim, and Mark. Because this way everybody kind of like has a know of Mark and Tim. And so
Okay.
what my peer does with me is like one of us will read over, like the first one is your coworker, Tim, lives for the
You pull
weekend.
it up. 1 second.
I'm sorry.
I'm just pulling it up for you.
Oh, okay.
1 second. I had to switch screens so that they can see what you're talking about. 1 second. There we go. Okay. There we go.
Okay, so if you go to the second page, because this one is the first page, this is the second page, this is where I changed the names. So I'll have the peer read, your coworker Tim lives for the weekends. On Mondays, Tim wants to share all the crazy and wild things he did. You don't want to talk about his alcohol drinking. What can you say to Tim to help him talk about appropriate things? So that's when I'll chime in. Hey, Tim, how many drinks did you have on Friday? And then I'll go to the next one. So what bars did you go to on Saturday? And Tim, let's talk about work. And that's where I have them say, okay, now what is appropriate? Is this appropriate or not? And then, they'll say, well, this is the better one. This is more appropriate. They laugh about the second one because, you're using not the whole explicit language in there, but it's just the way we do it and read it. And, I always say you have to use enthusiasm when I talk to the peer. Sometimes he doesn't get the enthusiasm, so I like to do the bottom part. That gives them a better feeling of what I'm saying when it comes to appropriate talk and communication. There's also one the first page goes back to where they're talking about people and appropriate things like, is it okay to talk about people calling somebody dumb, or is it okay to talk about, did you see the game on Sunday? They understand that. The last part, the last class is financial from OOD, the Works for Me 1 and 2. I use fake money and I make a chart on the board to show them how to budget their wants versus their needs. Financial seems to be the hardest part for most of the individuals to understand because they have a payee, so they don't think that they have to worry about figuring out how much money they're making and what they're paying their bills on. So I always tell them, ask your parents, ask a staff to sit down and show you, this is how much you're making, this is what your bills are. So we do a fake chart of money, showing what rent would be, groceries, utilities, and then if somebody wants to go out to eat, if somebody wants to do extra things. The budget plan on the board, it works good with them. And they're understanding that. And I also do one to show them how they can save money by looking at how much money they spend on coffee or pop out of the vending machines versus them bringing it in themselves, or just cutting back on how many days they're buying it. I think one of the hardest parts in the beginning of the class is when we first start on the first day and I ask them who has a job, and they all raise their hands. So I have to tell them the difference between Lott being a skills workshop and learning so they can get out in the community, and then making hourly wage. So that's where, and a lot of that comes back from years ago, you know, coming to Lott, this was their job. They had to work. Now getting the transition and getting them to understand this is skills center and not a job.
That's a great point, Laurie. Laurie, there is a question here for you. So, are these classes mandatory or by choice? So can they pick and choose, or are they kind of on the hook for all the classes?
Once you sign up for, once you get started with Works for Me, it's all the classes.
Okay.
I do the 7 sessions, and there's another group that's in, and what we do is we rotate clockwise around. If they start with me, they go to Karen's class, and then James is the last one. And then James's class, if whoever starts in his class comes over to mine, and then Karen's.
Okay, great.
But that's what's worked for us.
Any other questions for Lori before we go on to the next area? All right, awesome. Thank you, Laurie. Appreciate it.
No
All right,
problem.
next slide. I think we have James.
All right, James is next, but this is Tim. I just want to comment that the drinking example is not really for Tim Mankey. It was just for the purpose of this discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tim, for that clarification.
Good morning, everyone. I'm James. I'm a job coach / case leader. I also teach the technology class designed for individuals with disabilities. The goal of this class is not just to teach technology skills, but to make learning fun and interactive while empowering them to use the tools in their daily lives. Each topic is structured to promote participation and enjoyment, sorry. Day 1, we go over a syllabus, and then we talk about emails, building an email account. We start with the basics of setting up emails account. This session focuses on hands-on activities, interactive activities. We go step by step through the process of creating an email. I have a video that shows that. Each participant gets to choose their usernames, make it personal and memorable. The fun element that we use is guess the best password. It helps to make a strong password and creative to their capability of remembering it. Engagement roles, we role play exercise, simulating sending and receiving emails so that they understand how to do that. And we sometimes do it to each other in the room. So once they create an email, they send somebody else in the room that has created one an email saying hi. Day 2 and 3 are similar. Safety against hackers and social media safety. Internet safety and understanding the risks of social media. Day 1, a discussion about hackers, reliable examples of phishing emails and scams. I have interactive videos, short animated demonstrations, what happens when someone clicks on a suspicious link, or they ask for Facebook login and passwords. Group activities, participate, work in teams to identify fake emails and posts. Day 2, we focus shifts to social media safety, practicing setup on privacy settings, identify trustworthy connections, and then spot the red flag for a game, challenging participants to point out unsafe behaviors in mocking social media scenarios, which I have found on the internet. Day 4, we look at apps for banking and work. These sessions introduce useful apps for managing finances and understanding workplace app usage. Interactive demonstrations, we explore features of mobile banking apps for tracking expenses or paying bills, as well as workplace apps commonly used for scheduling, viewing pay stubs, request time off, communicating with employers. Hands-on practicing, participants learn about the usage of banking apps through screenshots on a video tutorial demonstrating navigation and functionality. Participants will pull out their phones if they have one to explore the apps already installed, demonstrating how it will be useful for work and daily scheduling, fostering a sense of discovery and personalization. So like your calendar, alarms, those things are great for them to pull up on their phones. Day 5, we use job search platforms. We explore Indeed and Ohio Means Jobs to help participants find employment opportunities. We do interactive demos, live demonstration of how to navigate for jobs and set up alerts. I show them, I don't actually have them each do it because that's part of job development. Engagement, staff will call on individuals and ask what type of job would you like to look up. Examples might include stocking, cashier, and then we do a job hunt on a big screen where the students look at specific types of the jobs. Day 6 and 7 are combined because resume writing is huge. The first day, we begin with a discussion on the homework that was sent out with the syllabus. I included 9 questions. 4 to 5 will be combined to create a professional summary. I actually videotaped a gentleman that we went to Toledo University, and he was talking about resume writing, and so we get to watch an actual person talking about it. And then we go to interactive brainstorming session where the students list their skills and hobbies and experiences. On day 2, it's not all one-on-one, but we have a circle table where I will walk and help whoever needs assistance on typing out sections with supporting for spelling and formatting. And then peer-to-peer review where participants share their feedback on a supportive environment. In conclusion, each session is designed to create a comfortable and fun learning environment while building essential skills by including hands-on activities, games, and group interactions. We ensure that participants not only learn, but also enjoy the process. The ultimate goal is to help them feel confident and capable of using technology to enhance their lives. Thank you.
That's awesome, James. Thank you. Anybody have any questions about the technology piece of the skills training, skills development? Yep, there is a question. Is there a computer lab? James, this is for you. Is there a computer lab, or does each person have a laptop?
So we have technically, so like Dawn said earlier, we had 6 people in our original classes. So we have 6 computers set up in a circle where they can work on the computers themselves. They each get to pick a computer and sit down.
Okay, great. Any other questions for James about technology before we move on? Karen? All right, James, thanks. You appreciate that. All right, next up, Karen.
Good morning. I'm also a case leader and a job coach here at Lott. I teach, I title mine Dressing for Success. I work on a lot of the soft skills. My first class, we talk about hygiene, and everybody kind of knows what that is. So I kind of open the question up to them, and then I kind of follow and piggyback off of what they say and how they answer that question. And if they don't touch on a topic, then I add it to my list. But at the end of my class, I pass out hygiene bags. So everybody in my class gets a hygiene bag to take home, and we kind of play it like everybody reach into the bag and grab out one item, and then we talk about that item. What is it for? Is it toothpaste? Is it a toothbrush? Is it shampoo? Is it a bar of soap? What is it? What do you use it for? And then they all get to take that home. And that's usually a highlight of the day because that's usually done at the end of the class. So they all start talking about it and bragging about what they got from the class. My second class that I teach says who's who. That is the hierarchy. So everybody knows who their like head supervisor is or who their main staff is that they work with, and then who is their case lead at Lott. But by the time you get beyond those first 2 people, they really don't know. There's this man named Tim that he walks around on the floor periodically and says hello, or Dawn, our supervisor. They know they're here, but they don't know what their title is or what they do here. And usually when I say that Tim is our CEO, they're like, what? Like, nuh-uh, he just says hello and he's so nice. And I'm like, yes, that's who that is. And then from there, I break that down into what are the rules here at Lott and what do you have to follow? And how does that apply to the community? How does that apply to your transportation? A lot of interaction here. What can you do at home that maybe you can't do in the workplace? What do you do on the bus that you may not be able to do in something different? Can you eat on the work floor? Can I have a water bottle? Can I have a can of pop? And who do I take problems to if I have a problem? So that's the who's who of Lott. And again, and then I talk about what happens if a rule gets broken. What are the consequences? Who do you go to for that? That's in the who's to who. The next one I talk about is the communication piece. And I write on what is communication? How do you communicate? How do you do that? What are the different ways to communicate? Again, I write that on the board, and I communicate, like, is it your phone? What do you do with your phone? What are some safety things to do with your phone? Can I post pictures about everything I do? Can I post where I'm at? A different song. And then with this one, I actually play charades because it's a non-verbal game. So you have to communicate with non-talking. And they usually get a big kick out of that. Because sometimes they come up with their own, sometimes we come up with some of them. And once everybody gets to know and interact with them. Then I pick an item in my room that I'm in and give me directions to maybe the sink, or maybe it's a chair in the room, and they have to give me directions to that. And they find that hilariously funny because they're pointing to go to your left. They're telling me to go straight or turn, and they're not telling me where to turn. So they understand that part of the communication in that one. My next class that I talk about is safety in the community. At Lucas County, we have travel trainers, and I asked one of the travel trainers to come in, and she does a safety talk about who is a safe person. Just because I invited her into class, is she a safe person? You don't know her. But we talk about that. We talk about personal space. We talk about what is safe information to share. We talk about a code word. What is a code word? And if someone, like, trust your gut. If your gut, your throat, your stomach isn't telling you something's not right, it probably isn't right. So we talk about that one. The next one we talk about is community. And in this one, we use a Step Up program. Step Up talks about what to do when you're in the community, like personal space. How do you greet someone? How do you know someone works at this store? Paying for something, and then we do a thank you. When we do a lot of role modeling and stopping on this one and talking, and there's a mistake in the Step Up program. Somebody actually, I know you can't see me, but I'm going to touch James's arms. Somebody actually touches that person and says, hey, I need help, or I have a question. And I'm like, hang on, you're just asking a question. You don't have to touch that person. I do a lunchroom etiquette, and in this one, we talk about cleaning up after you're safe. Is it okay to put your phone on speakerphone when I'm in the lunchroom, whether I'm on a phone call? This one, we talk about being respectful if somebody says prayers. This one, we talk about using the microwave, and if something blows up in the microwave, what do I do? Do I just leave it? Do I clean it up? In my class, we also, everybody does their own dishes. So this is also a very hands-on learning one. We talk about what to eat with your fingers, when it's appropriate to use your fingers versus a silverware, what to do with the napkin, possibly eating out, very simple things like that. The last one we do, it looks like, the last one I teach is dressing for success. And this one is also a really fun one because I have a lot of professional clothing, and I also have very simple t-shirts in my room. We talk about what do you wear to an interview, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. I have Hawaiian shirts hanging on the thing, and somebody will always pick that shirt and say it's okay to wear to an interview. Or do they pick I have somebody who has a jacket, a vest, and a nice blouse. Somebody will pick that to wear to an interview. We talk about first impressions. We talk about handshakes. We talk about, for the gentlemen, I actually have someone come in, and I can do it as well. And they learn how to tie a tie. And then sometimes we'll bring different staff in and talk about what do they have on? Are they allowed to wear that to an interview or not? And it's usually a fun experience because somebody will always come in and they play it up really funny. Like, hey, yo, I'm here to talk to an interview. Who am I supposed to talk to? And they just come in and sit down, and they all get a big kick out of that. So it's fun. And then I typically like them in my class because I'm constantly learning from our individuals and adding to and taking out of the program. What was their favorite class, and what did they enjoy the most out of the classes, and how can I change the classes up a little bit? And that's usually really good feedback from the individuals in my class. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. That's some really great stuff. Does anybody have any questions for Karen on some of her classes? You can unmute if you need, or you can put it in the chat. I have a couple of questions, and if anybody else has any, I'm kind of keeping an eye on the chat. As far as like the mentors, and either you, Karen, James, or Laura, you can answer in, or all of you. How have you? What's been your experience with the peer mentors, and how do you? I know you've touched on their participation in these, but how has that been working out for you? And how often do you use peer mentors in your classes?
This is Lori. I have a peer mentor come in for each of my classes for each class for one session. And it works out good because they ask him questions like, was you nervous? What did you do? What about your friends? And so he covers topics. I didn't lose my friends. I kept in touch with my friends here at Lott. Plus I made new friends. So, and I make more money now than what I did when I was coming to Lott. And he tells them, you know, I can remember the highest amount I made on my checks compared to what I make now when I'm working. Like I said, he and I usually do the skits on things, but they usually ask him, they have a good connection, asking him how he felt, was he nervous? And then he'll go over things like when, because I'm the one who coached him at his job, how he always gets anxiety when he's around a lot of people. And he said, you know, working with the coach, I learned how to handle my anxiety, and if I need to step away, my supervisor on the job knows that I might need to take a step away for a minute just to take a break and then come back. But he said my anxiety's been pretty good lately.
Great. Karen or James, anything to add for peer mentors?
I do not use a peer mentor. The only thing that is outside is that video with the gentleman talking about resumes.
Okay.
I have different guest speakers come in, so I don't really have a peer mentor. I did have one individual that he was in a different area, and we went and toured what he did versus some of the other people do here at Lott. But other than that, no, I really don't have a peer mentor in my class either.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. Anybody else? Any questions for our presenters? And I know some of the things that I've noticed in some of the conversations here today has been, you know, all the classes you're doing, and you're getting to know people in a very intentional way. I guess one question I would also just want to throw out to you guys is, have you, as a result of these classes, have you really learned things about people that, even though you may have known them for many, many years, have you learned any new things or things that surprised you through the process of these classes?
Yes, this is Lori again. Yes, I have. A lot of them don't really know themselves. When I ask them the question, you know, tell me about something about yourself. What do you enjoy? Marky was in the class the one day when they don't know. A lot of them don't know themselves because they're so used to doing what other people want them to do that they don't know how to answer it.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. That's a great point.
We've also learned that maybe in the past, one of our individuals actually had a job and we had no idea whatsoever. Like you may have passed the same person all the time. But when that person is able to talk and talk freely and has a answer to the question, they will talk and they will let you know the correct answer. And if somebody else is wrong, like it's a great interaction, and it's because it's only 4 people in the class, you really get to know the people. You really get to know more about the personalities of each person in the class. It's been an eye opener.
That's awesome. I do have a question in the chat. And this can, for any of you who want to answer, how long are the sessions per class and what's the frequency?
So our classes go from, we figured it out after lunch. After the last lunch, that's usually when we do them. We was doing them 12 to 1 and we switched it up to 12:30 to 1:30. But again, it works, it's whatever's gonna work for you guys. It just works for us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We have it divided up that way. Twice a week for 7 sessions.
Okay. And you do yours on Tuesdays and Thursdays for an hour then. So for session.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Great.
some of our classes sometimes tend to run over, but for the most part, we keep it down to an hour. And then if somebody's got questions, they'll stay afterwards and we'll ask questions so we can answer them. But I want to piggyback on the question you last asked about getting to know individuals. Because we have a guy here that went through the Works4Me, and he just wanted to know all about the class. He said he doesn't want to work. He's 60s. He doesn't want to work, but he wanted to know about the class. That person, I did not know used to work in the community. He worked back in the early 60s with his dad, and nobody knew that. And he told the class all about his job, told him which he's never spoke about it. And like Dawn said, it was a huge thing for him to speak about it. And he paid attention, he participated, he answered the questions, he did the homework till it came to the point about the financial literacy. When we talked about cutting back on coffee and stuff like that, how he could cut back his expenses. He's a caffeine addict. So he got upset and said, I can't cut back on my caffeine, Lori Fountain. But
Don't mess with the coffee.
But it was nice to hear. He explained to everybody in the group what he did. He worked at a big factory with his dad, and a machine made a loud boom, he said. And after that, he ran out of the building and never went back.
Wow.
So apparently, there must have been like a fire or something that caused it. But whatever it was, he ran out of the building and never went back, he said.
These are things you never expect to kind of come up, and you learn a lot just by hanging out with people very intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
well, great. Well, I'm looking in the chat box. I don't see any other questions, but I did have one other question I wanted to throw out to either Dawn, Tim, or whoever would like to answer it. You have been doing this now for quite a while. You've had how many rotations? 2 or 3 rotations?
We've had probably about, through Works4Me, 3, yeah.
Three rotations.
Yeah.
And of those, how many people have kind of taken the next step, kind of into career exploration or job development? You may have mentioned that up front, and I just maybe didn't catch it.
We'll say probably, so there's 36. We'll say about half of them went through probably about 75% of them went through CareerX after the classes. And then we've had 5.
Melissa probably has.
Yeah, we just talked about this. I didn't bring it with me. I would say 5 or 6 in job development. And then we have 1 that's community employed.
Great.
2, that's true.
We have 2 that was community employed.
And a couple of them have gone to GES.
Yeah, and a couple have moved on to GES sites. I do want to touch base on something that we didn't mention earlier. Lori and Karen mentioned the Step Up program a lot. That has been very helpful. I can't praise that program enough. It has every single topic that you could think of to go over with your individuals. We use that on our BH floor as well in our ADS program. If there's something that you would like to see a video or a class on, we would just reach out to them, and then they work on getting that onto the list of classes or sessions that they could teach on. And before we start the Works4Me classes, each person that is enrolled in the class, we sit down and we do a work assessment report on them. So we use Pathfinder for that. And it asks them all different kinds of questions about work and work skills, what they like to do, what they don't like to do. And then at the end of the assessment, it gives us a report that says, this job would be a good fit. This job, maybe not so much. It just gives a breakdown of what potential jobs the individual would be interested in doing. So those two programs have really helped too with the classes.
That's great information. Pathfinder and Step Up.
Yes.
Great. I think I have one more question in the chat box here. Yes, we are going to, somebody's asking if we can have a copy of the recording. Yes. We are going to actually be having this recording, this session in Live Binder. So I'll make sure that you all get a link to that when we get that up and established. I have another one says that they are using at Goodwill, they are using Step Up. And I'm assuming that's working out as well for you. Yep. Any other questions? I'm not seeing anything else in the chat box. We are coming up on the time. I do want to leave just a minute or two for Dustin. Dustin Schwab is the director of the Works4Me program. And Dustin, I'm going to let you unmute. I know you want just to have a couple things about mentoring.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I just wanted to remind everybody, as Lott mentioned, that peer mentoring is available to people participating in Works4Me, and OOD is happy to pay the wages of any peer mentors that you hire. And honestly, we want to. We've included that as part of the description and the definition of what Works4Me is, and so we're going to be using our evaluation with OSU to review kind of the different services that we have, with peer mentoring being one of them. And so the more that you build there, by billing us for peer mentoring, we're more aware of like what's going on and how much is happening. And so if that causes any stress or any challenges for you guys, please let me know. But again, or if you just have any questions about it, let me know, because we're more than happy to get some peer mentoring going.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dustin. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, I don't see any other questions in here, and we are coming up on our time. I want to thank a million times over for Lott Industries, Tim, Don, Laurie, James, Karen, and Robin. I had Robin down there. But I want to thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the information and for sharing that information. I want to remind everybody that we are going to continue to offer different types of training. Our next training that's going to be coming out, you'll be seeing a registration for that coming up, is going to be about addressing fears and barriers for moving into competitive integrated employment. So kind of look for that one coming up in the next couple of months, and we hope to see you at that as well. So without further ado, thank you everybody for attending, and we look forward to seeing you on our next go around. So have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. See you guys.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you, Lott, and everyone.